You launched your first restaurant on September 11th, 2001, which would be a kind of sad irony that people might chuckle about now, except that it's been totally overshadowed by the disaster of August 2005. So would you take us through that date and the days that immediately
August 2005, I just paid off the last of the investors. I'd own the restaurant, me and the bank only.
Wow.
Whew. No, there's something interesting about that, because I believe that through hardship, and it kind of goes back to my Marine days, like through this hardship, great things can be formed, and in the business in particular. You learn how to operate with very slim margins. You learn how to be very frugal. You don't run a top-heavy company, and you're very conscious about where each and every penny goes. And you're conscious about the revenue side, and how it's only through this reputation and word of mouth that I'll ever see revenues increase. And so each and every table that comes has to experience that little happiness factor that I want them to, for them to go out and tell others and then come back in. And so we were plugging along, but I was still that chef, kind of caught up in, oh, look at me, how wonderful my food looks, and you don't know what you're eating, but just trust me, kind of a chef. That's how we all are when we're young. Then Hurricane Katrina just changed all that. That was all about an awakening to, I have this talent, and this talent is more than just so that I can see my face in glossy periodicals. I almost felt like a calling, like I have a gift. I need to now go feed people. And I knew in my heart I would definitely go out of business. I mean, we lost our market. And it's not like I'm creating something, selling it to another market outside of New Orleans, and New Orleans wasn't coming back anytime soon. So we just started with a good deed, and that good deed was going out feeding people red beans and rice after like 2 days, day and a half after the storm, and out of igloo ice chests and the back of boats. And so we started little soup kitchens, and now one of my partners, Alon Shaya, I would have he and a couple of other, Blake Lemaire, Drew Meir, making red beans and rice. We would just take shifts and we would make red beans and rice 24/7. Marine friends would help me marshal resources into to my front yard, where I had pots, I had water, I had red beans, and I had rice. That was it. And one thing led to another, and there was some catering that needed that. I want to say Murphy Oil was our first client. Well, these oil refineries were shut down the river, and so they needed people to feed their people. So they bring teams of people back in to retool the refineries, get them up and running again. We happened to be there. I saw an opportunity, and this is a chef that I wouldn't even do a party over 50 because I couldn't create my food. And here I'm feeding thousands a day. So it started with the red beans and rice, and then went on to, we had one contract, then another, and before you know it, I then realized how important it was to be an employer and the responsibility that goes along with that, because people needed jobs, and they weren't going to move back to New Orleans if they didn't have jobs, if they didn't have any sort of health care, they didn't have just the security, a place to live. And you learn in times like this that that's all you really need. You need security, you need a dry place to live, and you need food. And so we started offering that to people at Restaurant August, and they would come back, and families would live in the restaurant. And we would create food there and send it out. And then before you know it, we opened August, but that was really futile. It wasn't going to make money. It was, but we did have a lot of press that had been in town for a long time eating MREs, and so they were just very happy to see us reopen. And so one thing led to another, and we started getting, one client would come back, and then another client, and then it became a cornerstone. This one restaurant within the city became a cornerstone of the community, where people would come and celebrate, almost an act of defiance, come and celebrate the fact that they were coming back to New Orleans and that we weren't dead yet. And that continued, and it built, and from the 3 people that helped me, 3 or 4 people that helped me reopen that day, now we're up to about 850, 854 people that we employ totally. So it's just magnificent when you see how much that we've grown in such a short amount of time.
Yes. And how many employees did you have before the storm?
About 120.
That's an amazing story.